In the mid-2010s, there really was a transgender tipping point. But as we wouldn't learn for years to come, it was tipping in the wrong direction. I'm Katrina King, and this is The View from Her Side. You're not going to be able to unsee the timeline of events that's led us to the current state of trans rights. Let's go back to May 29th, 2014. Laverne Cox is on the cover of Time magazine in an article called The Transgender Tipping Point. She's the first openly trans person on the cover of Time or any other major national and international news magazine. Laverne is already famous from Orange is the New Black, and this is widely treated as the moment that trans visibility went mainstream. But the tipping point framing proved premature. On June 1st, 2015, the Call Me Caitlyn cover appears on Vanity Fair. It's shot by Annie Leibovitz, revealing Caitlyn's name and image for the first time. Her new Twitter account hits 1 million followers in fewer than 4 hours, beating Barack Obama's record. And this is peak mainstream trans visibility, an Olympic gold medalist who's embraced across the political spectrum. Well, at least for them. The attack on trans rights didn't begin because Americans suddenly became obsessed with bathrooms. But there was a very significant catalyst that I think way too often we overlook. Roughly 3 weeks later, on June 26, 2015, Obergefell versus Hodges is ruled. The Supreme Court of the United States legalizes same-sex marriage nationwide. Overnight, social conservatives lose the one issue that has reliably motivated their base, and more importantly, their donors, since the early 2000s, and this is happening right at the peak of positive recognition for the trans community. What we didn't know until much later is that in 2015 through 2016, an insidious search for a replacement wedge issue took place. Per New York Times reporting in 2023, conservative strategists, including Terry Schilling of the American Principles Project, go looking for a new issue. Terry Schilling on record said, "We knew we needed to find an issue. We threw everything we could against the wall, and trans rights is what stuck." They've also stated that the reason that they liked this issue so much is because it allowed them to reuse the gay marriage playbook with basically just a change in copy. In essence, "We don't hate gay people, we just want to protect the sanctity of traditional marriage" became, "We don't hate trans people, we just want to protect the sanctity of women's spaces." Sound familiar? The timing matters. This comes right after the Laverne Cox and Caitlyn Jenner visibility peak, and trans identity is freshly vivid in the national conversation. We were told that visibility would save us. But nobody warned us that that same visibility could be viciously weaponized. And I am obviously very supportive of marriage equality. What I am not supportive of is Republicans continually needing a scapegoat from the marginalized communities in order to terrorize and motivate their base. In order to understand the magnitude of this strategy shift, remember even Donald Trump himself was pro-trans as late as 2016, stating that Caitlyn Jenner would be welcome to use any bathroom she wanted in Trump Tower. And here's the part everybody's forgotten. We already defeated the bathroom bills once. On March 23, 2016, North Carolina passes HB 2, the bathroom bill. Restrooms must match sex on birth certificate. This bill goes so far as to even preempt local non-discrimination provisions. The boycott and the backlash is swift and severe. Musicians cancel shows en masse. Bruce Springsteen, Ringo Starr, Pearl Jam, Boston, Annie DeFranco, Demi Lovato, Nick Jonas, Maroon 5. Even Cirque du Soleil canceled multiple touring productions. The NBA relocates the 2017 All-Star Game out of Charlotte. The NCAA moved championship events, and PayPal even scrapped a planned facility expansion. Then on March 30th, 2017, the Associated Press reports that the economic fallout would reach up to $3.7 billion in lost business. Not coincidentally, on that same day, March 30th, 2017, the bathroom provisions of HB 2 are repealed. Critics called it incomplete because it left a ban on local non-discrimination ordinances. Then, one of the most powerful anti-trans crusades in the world begins as a family grievance. In 2020, Vivian Wilson comes out privately at age 16 to her aunt, adding, "Don't tell my dad." Well, her father, as we know, is Elon Musk. She severs contact with him around this same time. Per biographer Walter Isaacson, Musk states that the estrangement that followed became the wound behind his woke mind virus crusade. Musk's turn is personal and reactive, much like J.K. Rowling, who certainly did not create the anti-trans movement, but she gave it something much more valuable: celebrity endorsement. On June 10th, 2020, Rowling publishes her Turf Wars essay. It lays out concerns about trans activism, biological sex, young women transitioning and later detransitioning. She discloses her own history of sexual assault and domestic abuse as part of her reasoning, which has absolutely nothing to do with trans people. Harry Potter cast members, including Radcliffe, Watson, Grint, publicly break with her in the days that follow. This becomes one of the most consequential celebrity interventions. Then on June 15th, 2020, Bostock versus Clayton County. This comes 5 days after Rowling's essay. SCOTUS rules that Title VII protects gay and trans employees from sex discrimination, and this is a huge step forward. But this happens the same week as one of the culture war's most defining trans texts. The whiplash of this entire period is summarized in a single week. Now, Riley Gaines did not lose a national championship to Leah Thomas. She tied in 5th place. On March 18, 2022, at the NCAA Championships, Riley ties for 5th place with Leah Thomas in the 200-yard freestyle final. This comes one day after Thomas became the first openly trans NCAA Division I champion in the 500-yard freestyle. The tie was statistically insignificant. 4 other cis women finished ahead, including eventual winner and Olympic medalist Taylor Ruck. But the real flashpoint is that the NCAA awarded the on-site 5th place trophy to Leah Thomas and insisted that Gaines receive hers in the mail. Now, we don't owe Riley Gaines a single ounce of sympathy, but if the NCAA had maybe just given her a damn trophy, we could have lived our lives blissfully aware that she even existed. Gaines has gone on to build a career as one of the most prominent faces of the anti-trans movement, spreading lies and misinformation before state legislatures across the country. It recently surfaced that in June of 2026, she's having her quote-unquote beliefs dictated to her off-camera by conservative sponsors. A month later, in April 2022, Vivian Wilson files her petition 3 days after turning 18. She changes her name, changes her gender marker, and drops the Musk surname, stating that she no longer wants to be in any way related to her father in any way, shape, or form. This leads into Musk's October 2022 Twitter's acquisition and subsequent anti-trans crusade. This isn't speculation. Elon Musk confirmed in a July 2024 interview with Jordan Peterson that his acquisition of Twitter was directly motivated by Vivian, a platform that he has since weaponized in his anti-woke, anti-trans campaign. So, a decade of visibility led by icons like Laverne Cox and Alexandra Billings, who have both done so much for our community. Also Caitlyn, we've disowned her, but she did play a role. None of that marked the actual tipping point towards acceptance that we thought it did. It turns out that it painted a bullseye on our backs when marriage equality was legalized nationally and Republicans needed a new scapegoat. And there's a pattern here. Every moment of visibility or legal progress was met, often within months, by a counter-mobilization that grew more resourced over time. In 2016, the backlash is legislative and grassroots. By 2020, it gains its most consequential celebrity validator, J.K. Rowling. In 2022, the world's richest man, reportedly radicalized by his own daughter's transition, brings his new platform into play. Also, in 2022, Riley Gaines didn't get a 5th place consolation prize in Manufacturers in International Crisis. So by the time Trump returned to office for his 2nd term, this wasn't a marginal cause. It was a professionalized, well-funded movement nearly a decade in the making and arriving exactly when a sympathetic administration took power. And the rest, unfortunately, is history. But there was a moment in 2016, in the wake of Obergefell, where trans people were hand-selected by Republican strategists to be the next national scapegoat, presumably to get Christian conservatives to vote against their own self-interests. And this isn't a theory. They've said it out loud. So maybe if the NCAA gave Riley a trophy, Maybe if Elon Musk was a better father, and maybe if Joanne didn't have a heart full of hate. Hey, maybe if Republicans had backbone or even a meaningful platform, we may be in a very different place. If this has changed how you understand the backlash against the trans community, like and subscribe to The View from Her Side, and share this with someone who still might think that this happened organically. Drop what you think the real tipping point was in the comments. I'm Katrina King, and this has been The View from Her Side.